Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello, and welcome back to another episode of Everything Possible here in Dark Souls 2. And today we will be taking on a portion of the Lost Bastille, or the Lost Bastille. Bastille. Doesn't matter. Radiant Lifegem and large Titanite Shard will kick things off for us. And then we will take out one of these royal soldiers. And then, because this is all too much fun, go ahead and knock this barrel off. Just watch what happens. Just remember, never turn around to look at the explosion until it's done, because as we all know, cool guys don't look at explosions. And we did just grab a life gem from the corpse of that royal soldier, so yay. In this iron chest, we'll grab the Antiquated Key, which is the reason we started at this bonfire in the first place, as well as the Covetous silver serpent ring. So if you're a fan of downgrading your equipment halfway through the playthrough, the Covetous silver serpent ring is the ring for you. And over here, we will take out this mummy looking dude with the giant machete on a stick. And he's going to in turn drop a Lingering Flame. Now, Lingering Flame is a pyromancy that shoots a fireball that doesn't explode until an enemy actually gets nearby. So it can actually have its uses in PvP because it can actually force your enemies into certain positions, because if not, they'll actually end up walking into a mine of sorts that will do considerable damage depending on your pyromancy flame level. And we meet Lucatiel for the fourth and final time until Aldia's Keep. And in Aldia's Keep, as long as we've killed 3 bosses with her by our side, we will get her gear. Grab ourselves a single large Titanite Shard. And we have a little bit before we pick up another item. So let me go ahead and talk about how this particular area is going to go. The Lost Bastille is fairly non-linear. You do have a few options as far as how you're going to take on the area. In fact, there are actually 2 completely optional bosses, the Ruin Sentinels and the Gargoyles, and if you want, you can actually skip them altogether. Now, behind this dog, we're going to get ourselves gold pine resin. We're going to be doing the entire playthrough, so I have chosen what I believe is one of the most optimal routes as far as getting all the items, so you will see a bit of bouncing around. Understand, I do have this somewhat planned out, and hopefully it all goes according to that plan. This is post-commentary. I can't pretend like I don't know what's going to happen. It works. Now, the second reason that we actually took this bonfire instead of the one that we opened up after No Man's Wharf is because we want to open up the path to Steady Hand McDuff, the blacksmith who will actually allow us to infuse our weapons. In order to do so, this barrel that truly inconveniently rolled off to the left needs to blow up that wall with the giant crack in it. So here I am futzing around with it, trying to get it into position. Truth be told, it probably could have blown it up even where it is right now, but I keep going until I get it right into the sweet spot. Eventually. Don't try to roll to push the barrel, you will break it. It won't explode, but nor will it be of any use to you, and then you'll have to go rest at a bonfire. Who has time for that? There we go. So now we just get a firebomb out, and there goes the wall. From here, we will light the bonfire and then light a torch, and we're going to head into the blacksmith's room, because there's something we need to do in order for him to move and start working on equipment, and that's to light this sconce. You can see that right now he's actually currently perched on an iron chest. He will not move off of that chest until you light that sconce and rest at a bonfire. Now we're free to loot all of the chests. We have 2 large Titanite Shards. Now we get 5 regular Titanite Shards. And in the chest that he was sitting on is his hammer, the Craftsman's hammer, as well as a Twinkling Titanite. We also have 10 heavy bolts and 10 iron arrows in this last chest. And now we can talk to Steady Hand McDuff himself. He is going to ask for the Ember. We're going to willingly give it to him because, unlike Dark Souls 1, this is the only blacksmith that accepts the 1 Ember that's in this game. So of course we're going to give it to him. Here you can take a look at some of the wares he has to offer. He also has an item that he will give you if you spend enough souls with him through infusion and upgrading. You cannot buy items in his store and get the Titanite Slab that is his reward. You have to get it through upgrading or infusing items. So we are going to spend some time upgrading and infusing, and I believe the amount is between 12 and 14,000 souls. I don't know the exact amount. In fact, the wikis out there have multiple different levels. One of them has 10, one of them has 12, one of them has 14. I do believe it is over 10, so I think it's somewhere between 12 and 14. By now, you should have plenty of souls, plenty of upgrade stones. Just give this man your business, okay? I think it's really important that we actually support our local businesses personally, but that's up to you. Drang Lake's economy is something that we can talk about in another video.
If you walk, take thee.
And there's our Titanite Slab as a reward. So now we're actually going to warp to the other bonfire, the Exile Holding Cells. Well, I chose the wrong one, but I'm going to skip to the Exile Holding Cells. And now we're going to take on the Lost Bastille from this angle, get all the items, and then we're actually going to jump back yet again to the first bonfire, and we'll go and head towards the Ruin Sentinels. Here we have the third Heide Knight that we've encountered in our playthrough. And like the others, he will drop his weapon, which is the Heide Spear in this case. So if you want some range attack and you want some lightning damage to go with it, you could do worse than the Heide Spear. Hop down here, grab ourselves a Soul of a Brave Warrior and a Human Effigy. And then we go into the courtyard, take care of, well, I thought it was going to be the dog, but my auto-aim decided not to go that way. Now we kill the dog, we take care of this mummy-looking guy. One more dog. And now we're going to loop around the left side of this wall here for a hidden iron chest, which has some pretty valuable contents. It has an Estus Flask Shard and a large Titanite Shard. Next, we're going to go on the other side of this wall because we can open up that gate that was previously closed when we were trying to open up the wall to Steadyhand McDuff. Here you have this lever right here. And we actually are going to stick around till the gate opens, kill the dogs, and then we're going to go revisit Steadyhand McDuff because now that we have more souls, I do want to upgrade the Idol's Charm a little bit more. Grab ourselves a Human Effigy from the dogs. They do have a decent chance of dropping Human Effigy, so if you have some Idolfind gear and you want to farm some effigies, this is a decent place to do it. So we already infused the Idol Charm with lightning, and now we're upgrading it to +4 using the Twinkling Titanite that we have. And the reason is, we are going to be fighting the gargoyles in the next episode, who, if you can believe it or not, are weak to lightning. So we are actually... I forgot an item. I'm literally watching this episode realizing I forgot an item. You can break that scaffolding down and grab yourselves an alluring skull on the top. I am embarrassed right now. Moving on though, Flame Butterfly ×2. And in this next area, which we can only open because we've already gotten the Antiquated Key, there's going to be 4 dogs, 3 of them in this first group, and then a 4th one off to the right. And then there's a well. Similar to the well in Majula, there's a rock with a rope tied to it, Soul of a Nameless Soldier, that we can knock in to raise something. It's not an item this time around. Instead, it's a trio of these exploding hollows. Now, I make a mistake here, which I just made. I killed them too early, and now that item, which is actually a set of items, is inaccessible to me as it is. You can actually get onto this platform if you jump from the rooftops above, which are accessible a little bit later on. However, I'm not going to take the time to do that. Take my word on it, it's the Wanderer's armor set, which is actually the starting armor set of the swordsman. It is nothing special, it is starting gear. I guess it's for cosplay only. If you want it, it's all yours, but I'm not going to waste my time trying to get onto that platform. But we will move on, take out these 3 royal soldiers. We're going to take out our fire bombs again and throw them up there to those exploding barrels. And even though you couldn't really see it, it did just blow up another wall that we can access. Pair of items here, large soul of a nameless soldier and a green blossom. Pick up a life gem from this corpse, and then we can get the Archdrake Robe and the Archdrake Shield from this hidden area. Now the robe is a starting armor for the cleric set. The shield, however, this is the only place that I believe you can get it. You may be able to get it to drop later. Use that Ferrous Lockstone, kill this other soldier, and then we have 3 chests in this room. In this first one, we have a Twinblade, which would be a lot more useful if it didn't break every 3 swings. We have a Parrying Dagger, which is really good for, as its name implies, parrying, or to roleplay as Raphael. And lastly, we have the Bone Staff, a mediocre staff at best. We have 2 walls that have opened up because of the Ferrous Lockstone, and in this first one, we have our 3rd soul vessel, and in the other, we have a wilted dusk herb. I'm not doing elevator music here because this is not an elevator. This is some sort of evil contraption that has us trapped, and it's also not very long, or else I probably would have. Another Skeptic Spice, and then we did see the item passing. All you need to do is walk off. You don't need to run, you need to roll, you don't need to jump. Just walk off at a steady pace and get yourself a bonfire setting. From here, I did equip the Silver Cat Ring because I want to mitigate any fall damage that I could take, and this is only to show that you can make it down. We're actually going to use a Homeward Bone at the bottom anyway, but there you go. Pretty simple and safe. And now, I'm going to cut back to the original bonfire that we started at. And from here, we're going to make our way towards the Ruin Sentinels. And we are going to employ a tactic that a lot of speedrunners use, or at least they used to in the original routes of their game, to make this fight incredibly trivial. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to power stance maces, and we're going to just stun lock them. And it's that simple. It's why we actually took the time to upgrade our standard mace as well as the magic mace that we had picked up earlier in this playthrough. Making sure I have everything in line. And here we go. Once again, deal with this machete-wielding mummy. I don't have anything witty for just being attacked. I just really let him stab me right in the gut. And mummy number 2. Now you do want to be cautious coming into this building. There are 9 royal soldiers waiting for you. They're not all going to rush at once, but you could potentially find yourself in a group of several of them at the same time, which could become overwhelming. Which almost happened here. You can see them all stacking up on the door, lining up for the lightning spear. You have to love bottlenecks. Learn to use your bottlenecks well. And we can get ourselves the Royal Swordsman helm, their gloves, and then right around the corner, in an obvious reference to Dumb and Dumber, we have a second pair of gloves. Because if you're going to be in the Rockies, you're going to want 2 pairs of gloves. Take mine and Lloyd Christmas's words on that. And if you don't understand that reference, please look it up. It's very important to me that you know what I'm talking about when I reference Dumb and Dumber. Which, this is the first time on this channel. I opened up this door. I don't end up using it. It can be a shortcut of sorts, or at least a way for you to bypass some of those royal soldiers. We did take a look at this earlier when we were killing one of those dogs. All you need to do is sprint off. You don't roll, you don't jump, you don't walk. You just sprint off and you can make it into that door. And by the way, we did just grab ourselves a Soul of a Proud Knight and another human effigy. I ran past it, but I'm going to go back and take a look. The ladder that we saw earlier down below, that's where that ladder leads. And in this open cell, we have 2 Radiant Life Gems, and then we do have the opportunity to summon Pilgrim Belclair, who will cast sorceries during the Ruin Sentinel fight. In fact, cast some very heavy-duty sorceries that can be quite beneficial. My issue is that Pilgrim Belclair often aggroes more than one at a time, and for me, that's not a good idea. Here we are preparing. We have ourselves a buffed mace in the right hand, magic mace in the left, and all we're going to do is spam R2. We dodge his first attack, R2, and the stun lock begins. Just imagine yourselves as a young drum player who's really, really terrible. Like the type of drum player that makes their parents really question why they ever bought their son a drum set. Or daughter. They can play drums too, they being women. R2. Now you will notice, like I just have, that my great magic weapon buff on my right mace is worn off, and that's because I switched weapons. The buff will last only until you switch weapons or until the timer runs out. But we already have 2 of them down. 3 stun locks and 1 R1 later. And that's as simple as the Sentinels can be. You can take them on one at a time, you can stun lock them to death. It's that simple. We get the Ruin Sentinel soul as a reward, and now we can take our time to open up the 4 illusory walls that are down here on the lower platform, only 3 of which actually have any items in it. I don't know why there's an empty one. I don't know why the pendant existed in Dark Souls 1. Rusted coin in this room, an empty second room, a target shield in this wooden chest, which is an excellent parrying shield. And then we climb up this ladder. And in this iron chest, after I open up that wall, we can grab the Hush sorcery. And the reason you open up this wall is so you can grab the Homeward Bones that are on the right. Or, if you're like me, just because. I am going to loop around and get those Homeward Bones because I completely forgot that they were there. However, at the top of this staircase on the left, we can open up this wall and grab ourselves a Rouge Water. We can also get ourselves an Alluring Skull that hollow exploding man just dropped. I don't think that's her official name. Here I am, realizing that I left the Homeward Bones, trying to make the jump. I believe you can make that. I'm not sure. I've not made it. If you've made it, leave me a comment below. Let me know that you've made it and I'm not entirely crazy. Or tell me I'm crazy, either way. But now we have the 3 Homeward Bones. And I know you can make the return jump back. You want to know how I know? It's just a hunch. Soul of a Nameless Soldier, watch out for this last exploding guy. Let him do his thing. And this will wrap up this episode of The Lost Bastille. Next time we will finish it up by taking out Belfry Luna, we'll take out the gargoyles, and we'll make our way through Sinner's Rise. We're not going to kill the Lost Sinner yet. That will be in our Great Ones video a little bit later on. But thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a comment below letting me know what you learned. If you have any questions or comments, leave those below as well, and I'll talk to you guys next time.